The sun of Zerathia burned a harsh orange over the jagged landscape. High cliffs stretched into the sky, and the wind howled through the rocky valleys. In the royal palace, Princess Lyra sat silently, her long silver hair flowing over the cold marble of her chamber. She had been told her whole life that she was barren, that her body could not give life. It was a mark of shame in Zerathian culture. But today, she was being sent to the humans, a species she barely knew, as a diplomatic gift. Lyra's heart beat fast, not with fear, but with curiosity. She had grown up in a world of rules and cold etiquette. Every step she took was calculated, every word carefully chosen. Yet humans were said to be different, free, kind, strange, yet fascinating. "Princess," said her aide, a small, precise alien named Veth, bowing low. "The ship is ready. The humans await your arrival. Remember your duty." Lyra nodded, though her mind wandered. Duty had defined her entire life, but now she felt a flicker of something else. Hope. Perhaps humans would see her as more than a political tool. Perhaps she could be someone she chose to be. The royal shuttle lifted off with a low hum, leaving the harsh desert of Zerathia behind. Lyra watched the cliffs disappear below, replaced by the blackness of space dotted with stars. She had traveled in ships before, but the thought of meeting humans filled her with both excitement and nervousness. The shuttle entered orbit around the human colony of Nova Prime, a lush planet of green forests and sparkling blue oceans. The humans had built a settlement near a large river, their buildings shining in the sunlight. Unlike the sharp metallic structures of Zerathia, the humans' homes were soft, rounded, and full of life. From above, the planet seemed warm, welcoming. Even Captain Elias Ward, a human with sharp brown eyes and a calm presence, stood at the landing site with a small team. He had been ordered to escort Lyra safely and ensure the diplomatic mission went smoothly. His crew whispered among themselves, glancing nervously at the shuttle descending. Aliens were rare visitors, and this was the first time a royal figure from Zerathia had come to Nova Prime. When the shuttle landed, the doors opened with a hiss. Lyra stepped out, her expression serene, though her eyes scanned everything carefully. Elias approached with measured steps, offering a polite bow. "Princess, Lyra," he said gently, "welcome to Nova Prime. We will do everything to make you comfortable." Lyra inclined her head. "Thank you, Captain Ward. Your world is different from mine. It is beautiful." Elias smiled slightly. "We try. Please follow me. There is much to see, and you will need time to rest after your journey." As they walked through the human settlement, Lyra noticed things that made her heart soften. Children played by the river, their laughter echoing in the air. People waved at her without fear, without ceremony. The warmth in their smiles was unlike anything she had experienced in her palace. No one bowed rigidly or whispered about her barrenness. For the first time, she felt seen as a person, not a title. That evening, Lyra was shown to her quarters, a simple room with soft beds and wide windows overlooking the river. She could hear the humans' laughter and music drifting through the air. It was strange, comforting, and oddly soothing. Elias checked in on her before leaving. "I will be nearby if you need anything, Princess. You are safe here." Lyra studied him for a moment. Humans were strange creatures, strong yet gentle. They cared for each other in ways Zerathians did not. "Thank you, Captain Ward," she said softly. "I think I may like it here." The night passed quietly, though Lyra could not sleep. Her mind wandered to the life she had left behind, the strict rules, the cold halls of the palace, the whispers about her body. Here, everything felt different. Here, she could breathe. The next morning, she was invited to a formal meeting with the Human Council. Elias accompanied her, guiding her through the building filled with light and color. The humans bowed lightly, not as a sign of submission, but as respect. Lyra was surprised. Respect, not fear. "Princess Lyra, said the council leader, a kind-eyed woman named Amara. "We are honored to host you. We hope your stay is peaceful and safe." Lyra nodded. "Thank you. I am honored to be here. I hope to learn about your people, and to teach a little of mine if I can." During the meeting, Lyra noticed something remarkable. Humans listened carefully, asking questions, sharing stories of their lives. They did not judge her for being barren, nor did they treat her like a delicate object. They treated her as an equal. It was a lesson in humility, and for the first time, Lyra felt a spark of true freedom. After the meeting, Elias walked with her along the riverbank. "You seem different here," he said. Lyra smiled faintly. "Yes. Here, I am not a tool. I am me. Perhaps this is what life should feel like." Elias nodded, silently agreeing. There was something about humans, about their courage, their care, their strength, that made him proud of his species, and he could see it reflected in Lyra's eyes, a reflection of hope and new beginnings. As the sun set over Nova Prime, Lyra stood at her window, looking out at the glowing river and the distant mountains. She felt a flicker of something she had never felt on Zerathia, possibility. Perhaps here she could be more than a princess. Perhaps she could shape her own destiny, and maybe, just maybe, even change the universe in ways she had never imagined. And far across the stars, the Zerathian king sat in his palace receiving reports about his daughter. He frowned, sensing something unexpected had begun, something that could not be controlled. Days passed quickly on Nova Prime. Princess Lyra was slowly adjusting to life among humans. The mornings were filled with fresh air and soft sunlight, the evenings with laughter and music by the river. She had started to feel at home, and her curiosity about humans grew every day. Captain Elias Ward remained at her side, guiding her through the human settlement, introducing her to customs, foods, and simple games she had never imagined. Lyra was fascinated. Humans seemed to celebrate life, not hide from it like Zerathians. Every smile, every friendly gesture made her heart lighter. One morning she joined a group of human children by the riverbank. They were building small boats from wood and leaves. At first, Lyra observed quietly, unsure how to join. Then, a boy, with bright eyes, handed her a small leaf boat. "Here, princess, you can make one too," he said. Lyra hesitated, then smiled and began folding leaves, her hands clumsy at first. The children laughed gently, guiding her. For the first time in her life, she was not expected to perform perfectly or follow strict rules. She was just herself. Elias watched from a distance, a quiet smile on his face. He had seen many dignitaries, many royals, but none had ever approached life like Lyra. She learned fast, laughed often, and seemed genuinely curious. He could see the walls around, her slowly falling. In the evenings, Lyra and Elias would walk along the river. Their conversations were easy, flowing naturally. She shared stories of Zerathia, of harsh palace halls, cold etiquette, and the heavy weight of her title. He shared stories of humans, their struggles, dreams, and small joys. One night, while looking at the glowing stars above, Lyra spoke softly. "Captain Ward, humans are strange. You care for each other even when it is dangerous. You are free to choose, free to love, free to fail, and still be respected." Elias nodded. "That is what makes us strong and kind. Not perfect, but we try. And sometimes, that is enough." Lyra looked at him, her silver eyes reflecting the starlight. "I wish I'd known this life before. Perhaps I could have been someone else entirely." Elias placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You can still be that someone, princess. You don't have to follow the old rules anymore." Their bond grew stronger with each passing day. Humans, once distant and alien, now felt like a family to Lyra. She learned to laugh without fear, to enjoy small victories, and even to care deeply for Elias, though she did not yet fully understand these feelings herself. It was during one of these quiet walks that the unexpected news arrived. One of the human doctors, a gentlewoman named Dr. Mara, approached Lyra and Elias cautiously. "Princess, I must speak with you privately," she said, her voice careful but serious. Lyra followed her to a small garden behind the medical center. Dr. Mara explained something that made Lyra's heart pound. "Princess Lyra," she said softly, "the condition that was believed to make you barren, it was misunderstood. You can conceive. There is no medical reason preventing it." Lyra's eyes widened. She blinked, staring at Dr. Mara. I can have a child?" "Yes," Dr. Mara replied, gently. "It is possible you could give life if you choose, but this is private knowledge for now. You must consider what it means for you." Lyra's mind raced. A child? The thought had been impossible before, and now it was suddenly real. She looked at the sky above Nova Prime, at the vast stars beyond the planet. A part of her felt fear, another part excitement. Could she truly have a life different from the cold halls of Zerathia? Could she truly choose her own path? When she returned to her quarters, Elias was waiting. He noticed the change in her expression immediately. "Lyra, what is it?" She took a deep breath, trying to steady her racing heart. "Elias, I can have a child. I was not barren. The doctors say I can give life." Elias blinked, surprised but careful. He did not rush to speak, letting her absorb the moment. Then he said quietly, "That changes everything, doesn't it?" Lyra nodded. "Yes, everything." She paused. "I do not know what to do. I have never been free to." Weeks passed on Nova Prime, and Princess Lyra began to feel changes in her body she had never known before. Her energy shifted, her senses seemed sharper, and a quiet warmth settled in her heart. The human doctors monitored her closely, but they saw nothing to worry about, only a miracle unfolding. One morning, as the twin moons cast silver light over the river, Lyra felt a sudden clarity. She knew with a certainty that surprised her that a life was growing within her. The revelation filled her with awe, wonder, and a deep protective instinct. For the first time she felt her own strength, not just as a princess but as a mother. Captain Elias Ward noticed the change immediately. "Lyra, are you feeling well?" he asked gently, concern in his voice. Lyra smiled faintly, placing her hand over her stomach. "Elias, there is life here, I can feel it." Elias's eyes widened in surprise, then softened with understanding. "This is extraordinary. Truly extraordinary. But we must be careful. Your father, Zerathia, the king, he will not understand this as we do." Lyra nodded, her eyes steady. "I know, but here among humans I feel safe. I will not hide. I will protect this child whatever happens." Word of Lyra's pregnancy could not remain secret for long. Human doctors and council members debated how to proceed, concerned about Zerathia's reaction. But they also recognized the importance of Lyra's freedom. Nova Prime was a planet of choice, respect, and courage. Humans believed in standing for what was right. When the Zerathian king received the first official reports, his reaction was swift and furious. The notion that his daughter, believed barren, was carrying a child, and that it was growing among humans, was more than he could tolerate. He summoned his advisors with anger, pacing the golden halls of his palace. "This cannot happen," he roared. "She is a princess, not a rebel. This child, it is an affront to Zerathia. Bring her back immediately." The advisors hesitated. "Father, she is on a human colony. The humans respect her, yes, but they also value autonomy. They will not hand her over without consequences." The king's eyes narrowed. "Then we will show them Zerathian power. She will return and the child will be ours to oversee. No exceptions." Back on Nova Prime, Lyra and Elias prepared quietly. The princess had grown stronger, wiser, and more confident. She had learned to navigate human society. and she had also learned about strategy, patience, and courage. Now she would need all these lessons. One afternoon, the Human Council called a meeting. Lyra entered, walking with calm dignity. The humans gathered around her, their expressions respectful but firm. They understood what was coming. Zerathia would not allow this situation to continue without conflict. Princess Lyra, Amara began, we stand with you. The humans of Nova Prime will protect you and your child. Your life and the life within you is your choice. We will fight if necessary, but we will not force you into danger. You are not a tool. You are free. Lyra felt a surge of gratitude and determination. Thank you, she said softly. I will not allow fear or anger to rule this life. This child will know love, courage, and hope. News of Lyra's pregnancy reached the humans' allies across nearby star systems. Many expressed support, praising the humans' commitment to freedom and respect. Messages of encouragement flowed in from diplomats, scientists, and even other alien species who admired human ethics and courage. But not all reactions were calm. A faction of Zerathians, loyal to the king and fearful of change, began plotting. They saw Lyra's child as a threat to the royal line, an unpredictable element in their rigid hierarchy. Their whispers reached Nova Prime, causing tension among the settlement's defenders. One evening, as Lyra walked along the river with Elias, she spoke quietly. Elias, what if they try to take the child? What if Zerathia sends soldiers? Elias took her hand firmly. Then we will defend you. Humans fight for what is right. Your child is not a pawn, and I will not let harm come to either of you. Lyra felt a warmth in her chest, a mixture of trust and courage. For the first time, she realized that the human strength was not only in weapons or technology, it was in their hearts. They fought for hope, for justice, for life itself. Days later, the unexpected happened. The first reports of Zerathian envoys arriving near Nova Prime reached the settlement. Small observation ships hovered at the edge of the planet's atmosphere. Sleek and imposing, the humans readied defenses, but no one wanted conflict. They hoped dialogue would succeed. Lyra, calm and resolute, met with Elias and Amara in the council chamber. I will face them, she said. I will speak to my father. But I will not go alone. The humans will stand with me, not as soldiers, but as witnesses. He must see the truth. This child is not a threat. It is a new beginning. The day of the confrontation arrived. The Zerathian envoys descended, their ships landing with precision. The humans greeted them without fear, and Lyra stepped forward, her presence calm yet commanding. The lead envoy bowed, but Lyra did not return the gesture. I am Princess Lyra of Zerathia, she said clearly. I am here of my own will. I carry life and I will protect it. Your king may claim power, but he cannot claim my choice, not now, not ever. The envoys exchanged uncertain glances. They had expected obedience, not defiance. They had expected fear, not courage. And in that moment, Lyra's words, spoken with human conviction and Zerathian dignity, sent a ripple through the room. Back in the palace on Zerathia, the king received reports of his daughter's defiance. His anger burned, but there was also confusion. The humans were not submissive, they were strong, principled, and united. And his daughter, she was not a pawn, she was a leader. As night fell on Nova Prime, Lyra rested in her quarters. She could feel the child within her growing steadily. She thought of the challenges ahead, of the king's fury, of potential danger. But she also thought of the humans around her, their courage, their trust, their loyalty. And for the first time in her life, Lyra felt certain of one truth. This child, and the future it represented, would not be a tool of power. It would be a symbol of hope, a bridge between worlds, and a testament to the courage of humans who fought for freedom, for life, and for what was right. Far above, the stars shone silently, witnesses to the unfolding story. Lyra's life, once bound by rules and fear, had become something greater, something unstoppable. The morning skies of Nova Prime glowed with the orange light of dawn. The settlement was quiet, but the people knew something important was about to happen. The Zarathian king himself was on his way. His flagship, larger than any human vessel, had entered orbit during the night. Its silver hull reflected the sun, sharp and threatening. Princess Lyra stood at the council hall window, her hands resting gently on her stomach. She could feel the presence of the life growing within her, steady and calm. But outside, the world was not calm. The humans prepared carefully, setting patrols, strengthening communications, and arranging guards. They did not seek war, but they would not bow in fear either. Captain Elias Ward entered the chamber, his expression steady though his eyes showed concern. The king has requested to meet in person. He is furious, Lyra, but he is also uncertain. This is a chance, though dangerous. Lyra turned to him, her silver eyes calm. I will face him. I will not run. If I hide, I become the tool he always believed me to be. If I speak, perhaps he will see something more. Amara, the human council leader, nodded firmly. You will not face him alone. The humans will stand beside you. This is your choice, princess, but our protection is yours as well. By midday, the Zarathian flagship sent down a smaller vessel. It landed outside the settlement, its engines hissing and its ramp lowering slowly. From it stepped the king of Zarathia, tall and stern, clad in robes of gold and black. His eyes were cold, filled with authority and anger. He was followed by guards and advisors, their movements sharp and disciplined. The humans waited in a respectful but firm line. Elias stood at the front while Amara and other council members flanked him. Lyra stepped forward, her head held high, her posture dignified but unyielding. Father, she said, her voice clear. The king's eyes narrowed. Daughter, he replied, his tone heavy. You were sent here as a symbol of peace, not to shame our people with this betrayal. Lyra did not flinch. Betrayal? No, father. I have found freedom. I have found respect. Among humans, I am more than a title. I am more than the cruel name you placed on me. Baron. You said I was broken, but you were wrong. Life grows within me now. My child is proof that your judgment was false. The king's voice grew sharp. That child is a danger to the royal line. It cannot be allowed to live outside Zarathian law. You will return with me at once. At his words, murmurs spread among the humans. Elias stepped forward, his hand resting calmly on his side. With respect, King of Zarathia, Lyra is not property. She is not cargo to be taken. She has chosen to stay, and humans will defend her choice. The king glared at Elias. You dare speak to me of choice? Your kind does not understand royal duty. You are reckless, wild. Your ways are chaos. Amara raised her voice firmly, her gaze steady. And yet, our chaos has built peace. Our freedom has built hope. Lyra has found what she was denied: dignity and love. We will not return her to chains. The king's advisors shifted uncomfortably. They had expected fear, but what they saw was courage. The humans spoke not as servants, but as equals. Their voices carried strength. Lyra stepped close, essence, commanding, fatherless. The days after the king's visit were tense. On Nova Prime, humans kept their lives moving, but there was always a watchful eye on the skies. Everyone knew the king of Zarathia had not given up. His pride would not allow it. And where pride led, conflict often followed. Princess Lyra, though calm on the outside, felt the weight of danger pressing closer. Each night she would stand by the river, her hand resting gently on her stomach, whispering silent promises to her unborn child. I will protect you, no matter what comes. Captain Elias Ward had doubled security around her quarters. Patrols circled the settlement, scanners watched the skies, and guards were ready at every gate. But Elias knew that if trouble came, it would not come openly. It would come like a shadow. He was right. Late one evening, as stars glimmered above, an alarm sounded. Unidentified ships had entered the atmosphere, smaller, faster than the king's grand vessels. These were not royal ships. They bore no official markings. Instead, their sleek black hulls told another story. Rogues, a Zarathian faction, loyal to the old ways but not bound by the king's honor. Target confirmed, Elias muttered as he studied the reports. They're after Lyra and the child. The council gathered quickly. Amara's voice was steady but urgent. We cannot let them succeed. If they take her, this child becomes a tool in their games. Humans will not allow it. Lyra entered, her silver eyes fierce with determination. Then I will not hide, I will face them, but I cannot do it alone. Elias gave a firm nod. You won't be alone. We'll fight, and we're not the only ones. Within hours, messages came from unexpected allies. Some Zarathian nobles, those who had grown uneasy with the king's rigid rule, sent quiet offers of help. They too believed Lyra's child could bring change. They could not openly defy the king, but they could not allow rogues to destroy a chance for peace. For the first time, humans and Zarathians planned together, side by side. In the council hall, maps of the settlement were spread across the table. Human soldiers stood beside alien advisors, sharing strategies, marking routes, and preparing defenses. This will not be a battle of numbers, Elias said. It will be a battle of resolve. They are shadows, but we are light, and light will hold. The attack came at dawn. The rogue ships descended quickly, their dark forms cutting through the orange morning sky. From their bays, armored Zarathian fighters poured out, their weapons gleaming. They moved with deadly precision, striking at the settlement's gates. But humans were ready. Alarms blared, barriers rose, and defenders rushed into position. Energy blasts lit the air, striking against shields. Smoke curled upward as the first clash shook the ground. Lyra was moved to a secure chamber, but she refused to remain hidden. From a command station, she watched the fight unfold, her heart pounding. She could see humans rushing bravely into danger, protecting not only her but their families, their homes, their hope. Elias led from the front, his voice steady over the comms. Hold the line. Protect the settlement. Remember what we fight for. And the humans fought with a fire that stunned even their Zarathian allies. They were not the strongest or the fastest, but they adapted. They turned broken walls into shields, fallen debris into cover, and every mistake into a new plan. One Zarathian noble, fighting beside Elias, muttered in awe, Your people. They fight like water. They flow where the enemy does not expect. No wonder they survive. Through the smoke, Lyra saw it too. Humans were not perfect, but their courage was unshakable. Their creativity, their loyalty, their unity. It was their true strength. The battle raged on. Rogues tried to break through the defenses, pushing closer to Lyra's chamber. But every time they advanced, humans pushed them back. Farmers fought, beside soldiers, engineers beside guards, each one standing firm. At one point, a group of rogues nearly breached a side wall. Lyra gasped as she saw them advancing. But then children who had been evacuated to safety began singing a simple, human song. The sound carried over the battlefield, strange yet powerful. For a moment, even the rogues hesitated, unnerved by the courage in the children's voices. That pause was enough for defenders to strike and push them back. By midday, the tide began to turn. With help from reformist Zarathians, the humans forced the rogues into retreat. Smoke still rose from damaged buildings, but the settlement stood. And most importantly, Lyra was safe. When the last rogue ship fled into the skies, a cheer erupted. Humans and Zarathians alike raised their hands in victory. For the first time, they had fought side by side, not as enemies, not as rivals, but as allies. Lyra stepped out into the sunlight, her eyes shining with both tears and pride. She looked at Elias, who stood battered but unbroken. You did it, she whispered. No, Elias replied firmly, shaking his head. We did it, humans, Zarathians, together, and your child, your heir, gave us the reason to fight. The settlement gathered around Lyra, their faces glowing with relief and admiration. She raised her voice, speaking with all the strength she could find. This day shows us something greater than war. It shows us courage, unity, and hope. The child I carry is not just mine. It is ours. It is a symbol of two worlds that need not destroy each other, but can build something better. And if anyone doubts this, let them see today. Humans fought not for power, but for life. That is strength greater than any throne. Her words echoed across the settlement, and even the Zarathian nobles lowered their heads in respect. Far across the stars. When the king heard of the rogue defeat, his rage boiled, but beneath his fury lay a growing uncertainty. His daughter had not only survived, she had inspired. She had united humans and Zarathians in battle, and the child he once called a threat was already shaping history. As night fell on Nova Prime, the settlement glowed with lanterns and fires. Songs rose into the air, mixing human voices with Zarathian tones. Elias stood near Lyra, watching her smile faintly as she touched her stomach. "Your child already has allies," Elias said softly. Lyra nodded, her voice steady. "Then we will face whatever comes. Together." The stars above shimmered brighter than ever, as if they too had witnessed the birth of a new alliance, one forged in courage, in hope, and in the fire of battle. The days after the battle were filled with rebuilding. Smoke still rose from broken walls, and workers moved day and night to repair homes, farms, and machines. But even in the midst of destruction, there was joy. The humans had stood strong, the Zarathian rogues had been defeated, and Princess Lyra was safe. Children played in the streets again, their laughter echoing through the air. Farmers returned to their fields, engineers fixed the power lines, and the settlement came back to life. Yet, everyone knew the danger was not over. The king of Zarathia had not spoken since hearing the news. His silence was louder than any threat. Elias, Ward, standing on a hill overlooking the settlement, thought about what was to come. He knew the king would not remain silent forever. A ruler with pride that deep would demand an answer. The question was simple. Would he come with peace, or with war? Lyra often joined him on that hill. She carried her unborn child carefully, but her spirit was unshaken. "He will come," she said one evening as stars began to rise. "My father cannot ignore this. He thinks the throne is his power, but now he sees the throne slipping." Elias looked at her. "And what will you say when he comes?" She touched her stomach gently. "I will say the truth, that this child is not a weakness, but a bridge. If he cannot accept that, then perhaps his rule has already ended." Weeks passed. Then one morning the sky burned with silver fire. A fleet of Zarathian royal ships descended, larger than any human settlement had ever seen. The king himself had come. Fear swept through Nova Prime, but there was no panic this time. The people gathered calmly, watching as the king's flagship landed outside the settlement. Soldiers stood ready, but no weapons were raised. This was not the arrival of rogues. This was a moment of judgment. The king emerged, his tall figure clad in gleaming armor. His crown, forged from crystal, caught the sunlight. His expression was thunder itself, cold, stern, and unyielding. Around him marched royal guards, their steps heavy, their eyes sharp. But Elias and the council did not bow. Instead, they stood, in quiet strength, waiting. And when Lyra appeared, walking slowly but firmly toward her father, all eyes turned to her. The crowd parted. The princess walked with dignity, her silver eyes steady, her hands resting on her child. The king's gaze fell on her, and for the first time in years a flicker of doubt crossed his face. "Daughter," he said, his voice like steel, "you defy me. You stand with these humans, carrying a child that should never exist. Do you understand what you have done?" Lyra stopped before him. Her voice was calm, but it carried across the silent crowd. "I understand perfectly, Father. I have given hope to two peoples who had none. You call it defiance, I call it life." The king's jaw tightened. "Life? This half-breed child will be a mark of shame upon our bloodline. Before Lyra could answer, Elias stepped forward. His tone was strong, but respectful. With respect, King of Zerathia, you are wrong. This child is not shame. This child is proof. Proof that even the deepest divides can be crossed. Proof that humans and Zerathians can build, not just destroy. The king turned his burning gaze on Elias. And, who are you to speak to me so boldly?